Okay, so this note's 2.3. This is really a flashback. We're really on 5.3, but I never taught you this stuff from 2.3 because I knew that we'd really just be using it here in 5.3, so I just combined these two, threw it together. So let's talk about it. Objectives. Students will be able to write the negation of a statement and the inverse and contrapositive of a conditional statement with inductive reasoning by completing an activity. I shouldn't have put that completing an activity. We're going to be doing some practice problems, but not really completing an activity. Okay, so first up, negation. This is the opposite truth value of a statement. Just means the exact opposite. So here's some examples. Example 1, today is not Friday. So if the negation of this would just be today is Friday. That's it. Just the exact opposite. Pretty easy. So go ahead and see if you can think of what the negation of the practice number 1 is. The measurement of angle A is greater than 45 degrees. What do you think the negation is? Well, most of you will probably say, oh, well, it's the opposite. It's got to be less than 45 degrees. But remember, it's got to be the exact opposite. So if we're including all values that are greater than 45, the opposite would include 45 and lower. So we actually have to throw in this little or equal to sign. So the negation would be the measurement of angle A is less than or equal to 45 degrees. Okay, an inverse. An inverse negates the hypothesis and the conclusion. So it's going to negate both. So let's take a look here. We got the inverse. We're going to write the inverse for the statement. And we're going to use this statement down here for the contrapositive as well. So just use these same statements so you can kind of see the difference. If an angle is less than 65, then it is an acute angle. Okay, here's all we have to do. All we have to do to make this an inverse is simply add a little naught in each side. So since this is a positive statement, it is something. It doesn't start off as being it is not something. Then all we do is add a little naught. Here's where we're going to add it. I'm going to just draw a little arrow. I'm going to write not. So we could say if an angle is not less than 65 degrees, then it is not an acute angle. That's it. That's all you have to do. See if you can figure out what you would do to practice number 2. Pause the video if you need to. So hopefully you said if you don't stick your hand in fire, then you will not get burned. That's all you have to do. So that's the inverse. You just change it. If it's a positive statement like this one, you just add the little not. If it started off as if you don't stick your hand in fire, then you will not get burned, then you would just cross off the don't and the not. Easy. All right, the contrapositive negates and switches the hypothesis and conclusion of a conditional statement. And so you could say it is the inverse of the converse, where if you remember, the converse is just where we switch the hypothesis and conclusion. So the converse of this statement up here, if an angle is less than 65 degrees, then it is an acute angle. The converse would be, if an angle is an acute angle, then it is less than 65 degrees. That would be the converse. Well, for a contrapositive, we're going to write the converse and then negate both sides. So let me show you what that looks like. And for this, I'll actually write it out since it's a little bit more complicated. Okay. So we would say if an angle is acute. Oh, I already messed up. Let's try that again. If an angle is not acute, then it is not less than 65 degrees. There you go. So you switch the hypothesis and conclusion, and then you negate both sides. So that's all you got to do there. Why don't you guys go ahead and try practice number 3 on your own. I'll give you guys a second. If you want to pause the video, you can. Okay. So you should have said, if you did not get burned, then you did not stick your hand in fire. If you did not get burned, then you did not stick your hand in fire. Okay. Now what I want you to notice is, up here when we took the inverse was not necessarily true, even though the original statement was. So if an angle is less than 65, then it is an acute angle. That's true. If an angle is not less than 65, then it is not an acute angle. Well, that's not necessarily true, because something could be not less than 65 and be 100 degrees, and that would be true, then it is not an acute angle. But it could also be 70 degrees, making it not less than 65, but it would still be an acute angle. So the inverses are not necessarily true, even though the original statement is. However, with the contrapositive, if the original statement is true, the contrapositive will be as well. They will actually have the same truth value. And that brings me to the next thing here, talking about equivalent statements. These are statements with the same truth value. So we could say that a conditional and its contrapositive are equivalent statements. All right. I want you guys to try this example number 4 on your own. See if you can do it. I want you to take this statement: if you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything. It's a little bit tricky because it starts off negative in the hypothesis, but is a positive statement in the conclusion. So remember, you just do the opposite when you take the inverse, and with the negation, you're just only going to negate this first statement. That's all you need to do. So if you want to take a moment, pause the video, try it on your own, and then I'll explain it. Okay, here's what you should have written. First off, the negation. All you have to do is negate the hypothesis. So you just say, if the original statement is you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything, your negation will just be you do stand for something. Very good. Now the inverse. The inverse, remember, we're just going to change the statement so that if it's negative, we'll make it positive. So we'll get rid of that not. And here we're going to add a not. So if you do not stand for something, then you will not fall for anything. And the contrapositive, we switch everything around and we add the not in, or take away the not depending on what's going on. So this one reads, if you will not fall for anything, then you do stand for something. And that's it for 2.3. I'll do indirect reasoning on the next video. Actually, as I looked into it, this program will work a lot easier if I just throw this information in this video and do the next page on a different video. So here we go. Indirect reasoning. This is a type of reasoning strategy in which all possible options are considered, then all but one are proved false. So you're going to consider all the possibilities and prove all of them false except for the actual right one, and that's how you could prove that something is true. Just to give you kind of an example, this wouldn't really work that well, but if you wanted to prove, say, that x equals 5, you could prove that x doesn't equal anything else. You prove that x doesn't equal 4, 3, 2, 1, so on and so on and so on. And you prove that x doesn't equal 6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so on and so on. Therefore, it must equal 5. You know, that's kind of how it would work. But usually you will use this in inequalities. And an indirect proof, this is a proof that involves indirect reasoning. Okay, Now I'll stop the video and start the next page on a different video. Okay, talk to you guys later.